Hey you guys, happy Monday. Welcome to my channel. My name is Khang. I'm going to share with you guys today. We actually have a questions from one of our subscriber asking about transactional funding. What is transactional funding and how does it work, or how does it come into play with your wholesaling deals? So typically when you want to use transactional funding is when a title company that you work with wouldn't be able to use your funds, or wouldn't be able to use the end buyer's fund to do your double closing. Okay, so this is the only time that people would use transactional funding, is that when you want to do a double closing, but the title company needs you to bring in your own funds to close between you and the seller, before they can close on your deal between you and the end buyer. All right, so basically it's the exact same property, and typically it happens within the exact same day, or an hour apart, or 2 hours apart, or it could be a few minutes apart. All right, so what it is what's nice with us here is that our title company are able to bring in the end buyer funds to close on the whole transaction. So let me give you an example, because I definitely don't want to confuse you guys. So let's just say the purchase price is for $100,000, and now you are selling that property. You're assigning that property over to an end buyer for $150,000. Okay, for $150,000. And now what it is that you have to bring in your funds. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to get over the lane. So, oh my goodness. So the purchase price between you and the seller is $100,000, and you're now trying to sell that to the other buyer for $150,000, and you don't want the end buyer to know that you're making $50,000. So now you're gonna do a double closing. Okay, so most title company. So it really depends. If you can't find a title company that will do the double closing, where they're gonna make the end buyer, they're gonna have the end buyer bring in that $150,000, okay, then they'll close between you and that buyer first. So that buyer will bring in the whole $150,000, and they're gonna use that $100,000 to close the transaction between you and the seller. Okay, and then what's left over, it's gonna go to you. So the end buyer has to bring in the whole amount, and then they're going to distribute it. They're going to distribute, and then they're going to be able to close using the end buyer's fund, so where you don't have to bring in any funds. So even if you have $100 in your bank account, you could do a double closing on a property that's worth $1 million. As long as the end buyer has that funds to bring in to closing, they're able to do it without you using your own funds, or getting any kind of private or hard money or transactional funding, okay, to close on the deal. Transactional funding to close on the deal. Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm very, very clear, because I definitely don't want to confuse you guys. And like I said, the only time you're using transactional funding is when the title company is not able to do that. Okay, so what it is transactional fundings. These guys will fund your deal once you have a buyer locked up under contract, and once you got a contract between you and the seller, and once you have that buyer, that end buyer, locked up under contract, they're going to ask you to send them both of those agreement over to them, so they can verify that, make sure that they got everything locked in place. Okay, because transactional funding, they want to make sure that you already have an end buyer in place, and once basically they're going to fund that money, they're going to fund you the money, the $100,000, to close on it between you and the seller. Okay, and then the end buyer is going to come in right away and close between you and them, and that transactional funding company is going to get paid at pretty much that same day, where the property closed and record it, and they're going to get paid right away. So they want to make sure that you have a buyer in place, all right, ready to close before they're going to fund you the money. All right, you guys. And typically the transactional funding company charge, it really depends on who you use, but you can definitely Google it up. And it could be between 1.5% to 3%. There could be more, it could be less. It really depend on the company, and they charge 1.5% to 3% based on the purchase price or the sell price. So if it's 150, then that they will charge you 1.5% or 3%, whatever it is, plus or minus, based on that 150. All right, you guys, not based on the 100,000, but based on the 150, based on the price that you're gonna sell it to, based on the price that you having under contract between you and the end buyer. That is the price that they're gonna charge you a fee on top, a percentage. Some transactional funding company will just charge you a flat fee. So they don't care whatever price it is. They don't care if you're doing it for $10,000 or $20,000 or $1 million. They're gonna say, well, you know what, pay us this flat fee of $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000, whatever that fee is, okay? And you just want to make sure that your assignment fee is large enough to cover for those fees, all right? So that way you can walk away with a profit, with a nice size profit. So like I said, the only time that you do a double closing using transactional funding is when you don't want the end buyer to know that how much you make, and the title company cannot do a double closing using the end buyer's funds to close on the whole transaction. That's the only time that people would use transactional funding, and transactional funding typically happens. So they will fund that deal, and it all should happen within that same day, the 48 hours, or maybe the next day or so, okay? But they don't charge, typically they don't charge on per day, they just charge on a percentage of whatever the purchase price or the sell price is from you to the end buyer. All right, you guys? So anyways, I hope that didn't confuse you guys. So that's when you would use transactional funding, but check with your title company and ask them if they're able to use the end buyer's fund to close on the whole deal. All right, you got to ask them that, because a lot of times you don't ask, they don't know, and they would say, because it happens to me where they're like, where when I went to one title company and they're like, well, Khang, for us to close on this deal, you have to bring in the funds, right? You have to bring in the fund, whether it's coming from you, whether it's coming from your private guy, whether you're coming from hard money, but you have to come in with the funds to close on the transaction between you and the seller, and then we will now we're going to close between you and the end buyer. All right, so you have to bring the funds in, and it doesn't matter where the funds come from, but it has to come in. All right, whether it come from you, your private, your other funding source, whoever it is. All right, and then I called around and I went to another title company, and which is the title company we're working with now. They're absolutely amazing. And I said, hey, you know what? I've heard that, I heard from other people that you, that title company or you guys are able to use the end buyer's funds, okay, to cover the whole transaction, so we don't have to come in with the funds. And I said, are you guys able to do that? If you guys are able to do that, we're going to do a lot of business together. All right, I let them know that. I give them the incentive, right? The incentive, letting them know that this is not a one-time deal. This is not a one-time transactions. We're looking to do a bunch of business with you guys, but could you guys do this for us? If not, then I might have to call around and try to find other title company, but I know that this is possible and that you guys can do it, right? So anyway, so when I called in and talked to the escrow agent that I'm working with, and she said, Khang, let me check with my manager, but I think that is something that we can definitely do. So she checked with the manager. She called me back. She said, Khang, yes, we can definitely do that. We would love to have your business, and we can do that, and we can do that for you. Boom. So now I'm sending all of my deals from one title company that are not able to do that kind of double closing. I send them all down to them. All right, when every single time when I do a double closing, even now that we're just assigning the contract, I'm sending all my business to them, because I want them to understand that, that we are, that we are a big client. We want to work with them. When we send our stuff in, they get things done, and they get things done for us on time. All right, you guys. So ask them the question. A lot of times the escrow agents doesn't know. So let the escrow agents, let them know that, hey, you know what, can you check with your manager? Is that something that you guys can do? Because I heard that people do this and it is possible. So could you please check for me? All right, you guys. So anyways, that's what transactional funding is all about. And I can drop you guys 2 links that I know, that I heard from other people. Now, to be honest, and I want to be honest with you guys, we have never used transactional funding before, because we're able to find a title company that will take the end buyer funds to fund the whole entire deal. All right. So whether if I have $100,000 in the bank account, I can put an offer in a $3 to $4 million deal. All right. And you guys, if you guys can find a title company that would do that for you in your area, that is absolutely, it's going to be beneficial to you, because obviously now you don't have to pay, fees to use these transactional funding company. But if you can't, you got to do what you got to do, you got to do what you got to do. And if you pay them a fee, and if you can make a good chunk of money, who really care? And it doesn't really matter. It's a win-win for everybody. All right, you guys. But ask that title company that question. All right, you guys. Now, hey, you guys, sorry about the cutout. I got an incoming call. So anyways, so the 2 transactional funding company that I have heard of is called besttransactionalfunding.com. besttransactionalfunding.com. I would drop both of these links in the description. You guys can call them up. You guys can Google it up, find other company, chat with them, and see how much they charge, what are their fees, etc., and what are their criteria. Okay, you guys. And the other one is onedayfunding.com. onedayfunding.com. I'll drop both of those links in the description, so you guys can give them a shot, give them a call, and check them out. All right, you guys. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much. If you guys haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to learn more about wholesaling houses, I'm going to share and teach you guys everything I've know in my channel on how you're able to go out there, find motivated seller, find the cash buyers for your deals, and also too is how to get paid without ever putting up your own money. You don't need good credit, and you don't need any construction background. All right, you guys, to be able to wholesale houses. All right. So if you like this video, hit that thumbs up for me. If you guys, thank you to everyone that have subscribed to my channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. I honestly, truly so grateful to have you guys a part of my channel. But for those of you who haven't subscribed and who is interested and who are willing and who are now so pumped, so motivated, and so driven to learn about wholesaling houses, hit that subscribe button. Let me share with you guys how I started out working at a job making $30,000 a year to now making $30,000 a week wholesaling houses. All right, you guys. All right, let's do it. Let's make it happen.